Hey Saners, back in the hotel. I'm absolutely soaked. Sat in the cheer squad tonight, and they sold out of ponchos. So that was awesome. That added to the second half. We lost by 32 points or something like that. Really thought we'd get something from this game. So it's just one of those really disappointing losses. Really tough to watch in that second half. I actually thought we came out of the blocks. I loved that Kipper Sharman was kind of owning the forward half. He was leading to everything. He was marking. He was competing. He kicked 2 goals by quarter time. We looked really good going forward. And honestly, I don't know if anyone else got this, but I got flashbacks to the Richmond game last year where we came out of the blocks early when it was dry and then it started raining and we just had no idea how to manage that sort of football. And Adelaide did. Their bigger bodies stood up. We really tried to just continue to play the boundary way too much in that second half. And we all know that when it's wet weather, it's direct football, it's corridor football, it's chaos. Don't try and be too fancy. Don't try and over-finesse the football. And that's exactly what we did. And Bonner was really disappointing again. It's just subbed off. Zachy Jones battled it. He came in and he was pretty good early, but at the same time, it was more his endeavour that I really liked. His execution wasn't really there. So it's you get the good with the bad with Zach Jones. Filippo was amazing, I thought. His goal was right behind that. Oh my God, that's clutch. That's absolutely clutch. And I thought that was basically scores level late in the third. Crows for the entire second half were peppering. Let's face it. The damn wall was going to break at some point. And then Filippo said, nah. Let's just hit back very quickly. And it was kind of like in boxing where they're going at you, and then you just go with this left hook and you kind of just throw them off a little bit. That's exactly what Filippo's goal was all about. But then sadly, we didn't really lift after that point. We didn't have any substance to our play. It was very passive and it was basically just inviting pressure on our backline that held up to as much as it could have until finally, Tex is flying at the ball, Phil Thorpe's coming on and making an impact and kicking 2 goals, dubious free kick for one of them. They kick a snap boundary, Fogarty's throwing himself at everything, their mids were getting on top. It was, to me, I kind of could see it coming. I just didn't know when it was going to happen, and it happened right at the end, final 10 minutes, that's kind of when they got reward for effort. From our side, I thought the mids battled it for the most part until that last quarter. We just got blitzed. Crows went up a level. They played the type of football that I was hoping we'd play when it started raining. We just tried to play dry football. A lot of our players were still going for marks. The Adelaide players, on the other hand, are trying to just smash it forward or flick it on. Not even try and go for marks, just continue the momentum. And you just got to look at the way Richmond handled wet weather football for 5 years and know that's the way you get success in these games. And we tried to be too fancy. And firstly, when it's dry, us to be fancy is still not good enough because we don't have the players or the skills to do it. So add wet weather to it, and we're still trying to be fancy. It's never going to be a good combination. I thought our smalls let us down massively tonight. I know Dan Butler laid a lot of tackles, but he didn't hit the scoreboard. Jack Higgins, very quiet compared to last week. And when it's wet weather and the ball's hitting the deck more times than not, you need Butler, Higgins, Henry. Owens had 3 or 4 possessions for the entire game. You need these players to be having the impact, not the bigs. The bigs need to compete to bring the ball to ground, don't get me wrong. But when the ball hits the ground, that's where the smalls get to work. And I just didn't notice that at all from our players. Darcy Wilson looks a shell of himself. I think maybe he needs a bit of a spell. Henry and Higo were the match winners last week, really. And Filippo, Henry and Higgins didn't deliver. Rowan Marshall lifted and he played his role. I thought our backline held up as much as they could have. But given the pressure, given the circumstances and the conditions, Ari, Battle, Wilkie, Dukes, eventually I think things were just going to get out of hand. And to be honest, they did. They got out of hand really quickly late and the margin blew out because for the majority of the game it was a 1-kick game either way. And then it ends up being a 5-goal game and that's really all due to the last quarter. And only kicking 1 goal in the second half. You're not going to win games, whether it's wet or dry. 1 goal, and it was a clutch goal from Filippo. You think in the first half we could have been further ahead. Marshall missed 2 sitters from easy range. Who else had a set shot? Filippo hit the post. There's a couple of chances. Higgins goes for a snap when he shouldn't have. Owens, late in the game, goes for the goal when he could have just tapped it back into play, into a dangerous area. It's just little things like that. So it's kind of a mix of like, we should have been further ahead at halftime, and then a mixture of not managing the conditions very well. So I don't know. To me, it just didn't look like, after the first quarter, we just didn't look like we wanted to change the way we played. And we still kept going to the boundary. I can't get that out of my head. Like, if the game's on the line and there's 10 minutes to go and there's a couple of goals of difference and you're kicking in, Naz is going to the boundary and it's just a throw-in, safe option. That's not the way we played last week. We played helter-skelter. We played with some balls last week. Tonight, we didn't play with that. We didn't play with a bit of dare in our game. It looked like early, but then it went away quickly because the conditions can just, I don't know, got in the way. I don't want to blame the conditions, but we just didn't, we have the gear to go and play that sort of, I thought it would favour us, to be honest. I thought, well, you know, we're a tough midfield. We're not the most skilled, but we'll battle it out and that'll be enough. But weight of numbers got us in the end. Individually, I can't think of too many players. Nasiah was really good. He got a lot of the ball. Thought Battle was pretty clean. Wilkie was pretty clean for the most part. Webster battled it out. Wasn't too bad. Midfield-wise, I can't tell you the numbers, but I thought Ron Marshall stood tall. Could have had a couple of goals to his name. Should have. And then Sharman started like a house on fire, but then did nothing from really the second, third, fourth quarter. First quarter was amazing, and I thought, this Sharman looks like he could be the match winner in this game. He's getting to the ball, he's kicking goals, and he's bringing it to ground at the same time, and he's competing when it hits the ground. If he does that for another 2 or 3 quarters, we might win this game. He went missing after quarter time, and I don't think that's unfair to say. I really do think that. But outside of that, it was just a really tough game to sort of review in the end. We miss a lot of class around the ball, and in these conditions, sometimes class comes to the fore. And we all know we desperately need more class in that team. You know, it's no lie. Like, it's not something to beat around the bush. We know we need more top-end drive picks. We need to trade in some players if we can. And yeah, it's just unfortunate because I feel like Adelaide were there for the taking, and it's tough at Adelaide Oval. I know that. It's a hostile environment, but yeah, I just thought we could have taken something from this game, and unfortunately we didn't. So put your thoughts in the comments, Saners. Credit to all the Saners in the cheer squad and at the game that turned up, flew in, or are locals, and sat in the rain, even when it was an ugly game. Credit to all of you that did that. I'm going to have a nice hot shower now, and tomorrow we'll have our 5 things we learned, and during the week we'll preview the West Coast game. So hopefully under the roof next week. We're under the roof for the rest of the season. Hopefully we can get on a bit of a run now and play some fast, exciting footy. So thanks again, Saners. Not the result tonight. Really, really disappointing against the Adelaide Crows. Let's see what we do next week. But as always, take care and go you mighty Saners. See you guys.